Thank you for joining us on our 13-night transatlantic cruise on board the Celebrity Silhouette. Our next 4 days will be sea days before we reach our next port, which is Ponta Delgado in the Azores. Hello sailors, welcome back to the channel, and it's day 5 of our cruise on board Celebrity Silhouette across the Atlantic Ocean, heading back to Southampton in the UK. Today's a sea day. We had a bit of a lie-in today, and afterwards we headed up on the deck to sit around the pool. It was blankets on your legs day as the sun was behind the clouds and there was a cold wind in the air. It was time for lunch, so we headed into the Ocean View Cafe. I had some nachos and spaghetti bolognese, and Paul had a salad. The queue for the large salad bar was just so huge that I decided not to bother. For the rest of the afternoon, we sat by the pool, soaking in the sun, jumping in the hot tubs, or the pool when we needed to do so. As the afternoon went on, the clouds came over, it got really cold, so I headed back down to the room. When I got back, the clouds had disappeared, so I went back out onto the balcony. I stuck on my headphones and some music, and read a couple of chapters of my book. I'm reading James Wharton's Something for the Weekend, but it was just so lovely just sitting on the balcony watching the wake. We met at World Bar for some drinks before dinner this evening, and Juliana made a lovely non-alcoholic pear drink for me. It was a little sweet, but it was so lovely and refreshing. She made Paul the same drink, but an alcoholic version. I had a sip, it was nice, but I couldn't drink it. After a round of drinks, it was then time to go to the Grand Cuvée restaurant for dinner. As always, if you're interested in seeing the menu choices, just press the pause button. We were all just a little tired after dinner, so we decided to grab some cups of tea from the Ocean View Cafe and headed back down to the room. We put the X-Men Apocalypse in the stateroom television, and after it finished, it was then time to switch off all digital devices, but not my phone because I wanted to get one last picture of the wake at night. So the balcony door slightly ajar, the lights went out, and it was time for slumber. So good night, sailors, and we'll see you again real soon. Good morning and welcome back to the channel. And it's another sea day today on board the Celebrity Silhouette. It's day 6 of our 13-night transatlantic adventure. We decided that we would have breakfast in the balcony this morning. Our clocks had gone forward another hour, so we went for the 8 to 8:30 slot. It was lovely to have breakfast in the balcony watching the sun come up. I stayed in the room for a little lie-in this morning and to watch an episode of The Endgame. As I was watching, Stowaway Bruce came for a cuddle and to watch it with me. And it was a lovely day outside. So come on sailors, grab your swimming costume. It's time for us to go and sit by the pool. If I don't see you by the pool, I'll see you by the hot tub next to the bar. The 6 of us just sat around the pool area, lounging, chatting, sunbathing, drinking. It's hard work doing nothing. Now, some of the guests have been building boats over the last few days for a boat building competition. Today was the day they would see if they could float holding 6 full soda cans, as well as being attacked by the pirates' cannons. This was quite amusing to watch up on the pool deck. There were about 5 to 6 teams involved. A few team ships were completely ruined by the pirates' cannons.
Oh yeah, it's floating! Beautiful! Yes, give it up for Puppy Team. They're all safe and nice until the pirates attack, which is gonna start now! Let's go, pirates! One is down! 2 already! We lost 2 passengers! Some more! Yeah! Come on, let's go down! Alright, I think unfortunately...
After this, I headed up to the Mass Grill and got myself a cheeseburger and chips. They're always delicious, but I didn't have any ice cream afterwards today. It was still just a lazy day, either lounging in the chairs in the pool or in the hot tub. It was then time to head back to the room for dinner. As the sun hadn't set, it's always nice to have the curtains open and look out at the ship's wake and the view of the sun setting across the Atlantic. I think you'll agree it's such a spectacular view. I met up with Ian and Chris in the World Bar, and Juliana made me a lovely fruity non-alcoholic cocktail. Today's was a strawberry concoction in a martini glass, but she did say don't ask me to make it again because I really forgot what I'd put in it. Ian and Chris had the alcoholic version of the pear drink she'd made me the evening before. After finishing our drinks, we then went to the Grand Cuvée main dining room on deck 4 for our dinner. If you want to see the full menu, please don't forget to just press pause on the video. Dinner this evening comprised of, for starters, we had beef carpaccio and escargot. The mains were Barolo braised short ribs and roasted pork loin. And the dessert was a frosty ice bomb and pineapple upside down cake. After dinner, we had a drink in a martini bar with Ian and Tony. Chris's Ian headed back up to bed, and the rest of us tottled up to deck 14 to the Sky Lounge to go and see what was happening. When we arrived, they were in the middle of a game of Mr. and Mrs., which was quite funny. Afterwards, they played a game where they had 4 hard-boiled eggs and 4 raw eggs in a bucket. If you could answer the question correctly, nothing happened, but if you got it wrong, then you had to choose an egg and smash it against your forehead to see what type of egg it was. It was quite funny in the end. After the game, the Bristol Fashion Band came on. After 2 Bristol Fashion numbers, the place practically emptied as people went to bed. We did also have to put our clocks forward another hour this evening. It was then time to head down to bed, and with that, we shall bid you a good night, and we will see you again in the morning. Good morning, sailors, and we hope that you're well rested. It's day 7 of our transatlantic crossing, and this morning when we opened the curtains, it was overcast, and we're just waiting for the rain to fall, but it didn't take long for the heavens to open. We had breakfast in bed instead of on the balcony. I watched an episode of NCIS and The Resident and the end of the film The Way Back in the room before heading up to the solarium area to see Chris and Ian. We lay in the solarium for quite some time before we then decided to head up to the Ocean View Cafe for lunch. I had a large bowl of salad. I followed this with a scoop of vanilla and strawberry ice cream. It was then time to head back down to the solarium. We were going to sit outside, but it was still spitting with rain. I played pinball on my iPad mini and listened to music before going for a sleep on the large bed that we were sitting on. Afterwards, I headed to the shop to purchase the model of the ship and a nice polo shirt that I had seen. I got back to the room and the sun was out and shining away and looked so amazing out on the balcony, so I sat out for about half an hour before heading back in to get ready for drinks before dinner. Tonight is the second chic night, and we had discussed earlier that we would go in full tuxedos. I met the boys down in the World Bar and they were supping on their cocktails, and Juliana came out and asked me what I would like this evening, or shall she just make me a surprise? She made me a lovely drink with passion fruit, although it was a little sour, but it was lovely and refreshing. It was then time for us to head through to the Grand Cuvée for dinner. We had a lovely dinner this evening. The starters consisted of Tuscan vegetable minestrone soup and spinach turnover, followed by pork scalpellini marsala and oven-roasted turkey and grilled chicken breast with a homemade gnocchi al quattro formaggi in the middle for a sharing plate. It was all lovely, although the gnocchi had been overcooked and was burnt on the bottom of some of the pieces. Dessert was Sacher Torte, New York-based cheesecake with strawberry sauce, and a chocolate cake. When we were seated in the restaurant, as they were leaving, a lady came up to us and said that we were the best dressed table this evening. I think a lot of people don't expect us younger ones to dress up. As usual, after dinner, we should have headed to the Martini Bar to meet with Ian and Tony. Unfortunately, Ian was a little bit under the weather. So instead, we headed over to the Craft Social Pub on deck 4, as it was the only one that we hadn't been in yet. It has TV screens on, tuned to different sports channels. So I was watching the Australian Rugby League. Now, it is really tiring just doing very little and lying in the sun. We then all decided to have an earlier night as the clocks go forward another hour. So it was time to head up to deck 14 to make a cup of tea and grab a glass of milk before retiring to bed. I needed to nip down to guest services to hand in a customer feedback form, which I did. When I got back, I put on the TV and had a bit of a laugh as on the BBC channel Father Brown was playing, and we had only just been talking about it earlier that day. After playing a couple of games on our iPads, we turned out the lights, and that was it for another day on board Celebrity Silhouette on our transatlantic crossing. So hopefully better weather tomorrow, sailors. We will see you in the morning. Good night. Good morning and welcome back to another sea day on board Celebrity Silhouette's transatlantic crossing from Fort Lauderdale to Southampton. Today is Good Friday and also day 8 of our 13-night voyage. We arose early this morning, we had breakfast in the room, I was watching The Resident on the TV this morning, so I stayed in bed a little longer than normal, and then I went up to meet the boys by the pool. We had to complete passenger locator forms for Portugal with extremely patchy internet. I did mine and got it back, so that was good. I then went to sit in the hot tub for a bit. We just sat up on deck, lazing around and enjoying the sunshine and chatting. It's too funny as people come past us a lot and want to join in our merry gang, and we have no problems with that at all. It started to get a little cooler, so I went down to the sauna and the spa because I needed to detox. After the sauna, I went back to the cabin and watched the sunset from the balcony. Put on the television and Keeping Up Appearances came on, so we watched the first episode. And then the second episode started, and it was the one when Harrison was going on a yacht and had invited Elizabeth and Emmett to meet them. After the episode's finished, we got dressed for dinner. I put on my new Den loungewear socks and they are so comfortable. For dinner this evening, Paul and I decided not to go to the main dining room. We went to the Ocean View Buffet restaurant to have food because neither of us felt like a big 3-course meal. Paul had some curry and I had a massive bowl of salad with ham, chicken and a nice dollop of guacamole on it. For my dessert, I had a scoop of strawberry ice cream with rainbow sprinkles. We grabbed some teas and hot chocolates and took these back to the room for an early night, and we wanted to watch the moon from the balcony. In our next episode, we meet an enchanted princess at our next port of call, Ponta Delgada in the Azores. It's time to bid you a good night, sailors, and we will see and catch up with you again soon. Good night all, thanks for watching.